We're live, Jackie Monahan. Dun, 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 dun. Hi, everybody. We are, I'm Renee Santos.
I'm Jackie Monahan.
Jackie Monahan. And we're comedians, and we're here to talk about, like, whatever's hot in our world right now. It's hot and sexy. Speaking of hot and sexy, what are we talking about today, Jackie Monahan?
We're talking about the great mask debate.
Oh. We're talking about how to masturbate?
No, the mask debate.
The mask debate.
Yeah.
Got it. That is a hot topic.
I'm sorry. I thought you knew that. You thought I said masturbate?
I thought we were going to masturbate today. But
God. Well, we can do one on that another time. I have some good tricks.
You have some good tricks? That's good.
Hey.
This mask debate is important, though. And the mask debate, you can't really use your left hand to have this conversation. So let's do this.
Yeah, speaking of, though, the other day I went out and ran into one of my exes, and I so wish I had my sexier mask on.
I didn't even bring a mask right now, and I probably should have. I'm not.
You make masks too, don't you?
I do make masks too, and I actually have a sexy mask that I made from an old bra.
Oh,
so now I wear my bra on my face.
I love it.
I'm only a B cup, so I realized that the space between my nose and my mouth is approximately a B cup. So the cup of a bra works really well over my face.
I love it. And then what did you use to put on your ears?
I just use like little strings well, here's the option. You could do things two ways, because I've noticed that you can actually expand the band that can go all the way around your head, like if you have a ponytail, or you can like contract the bands and then just tuck them behind your ears if like your hair's down and you don't want to have like a band around your head.
Right.
Yeah.
I like around the ear. It feels more comfortable.
True. Although I heard a really interesting, speaking of the mask debate, my sister is a nurse in Boston, and she was telling me how those full facial coverings that are made from cloth, like the ones that go around your neck, which people think are super protective, are actually worse, because regular fabrics, when you spew out like whole particles, before it actually it doesn't completely block it. It turns it into smaller particles smaller particles stay on surfaces longer than larger particles. It's almost like if you think of it like a magnet, like the weight of a particle will fall to the ground and die. Whereas the smaller the particles, the more airborne they can stay. They can stay floating. So those cloth masks that have full covering basically just take our spit and take the bigger particles and turn them into small particles. So basically if we're not sick, we're not spreading anything. But if you did have coronavirus and you had a cloth mask on, not one of those N95 masks, you would basically just be turning your coronavirus into smaller particles that could attach to more shit.
Oh, no. All right, everybody. We're saying some good stuff here. So we're not only just debating mask or no mask, we're debating the actual masks.
The actual masks.
Yeah.
Those surgical masks that are not made from like cottons or fabrics are actually way better. Fabric masks are prettier, but here's the problem. Fabric masks they're better for visibility, because then there's also this conflict that I've heard about people returning to work. And there's been a lot of more workers' comp claims, because these big masks where they put the N95 masks on and the shields, they limit all of your peripheral vision. So people are tripping over shit and stuff now and falling at work because they are trying to do the same job with half the visibility. So a lot of people are leaning toward these cloth masks because it doesn't actually impair their visibility to do their job, and they're still able to breathe and move quickly.
Right.
My survival job is I run a Starbucks, and you're hustling lattes, man. Sometimes you need to breathe. It's really hard if you have a face shield on and stuff and you're trying to make a latte and move around quickly. You can't see anything. I ate shit so bad over a sanitized bucket the other day because I couldn't see my feet.
Oh, no.
I think I'm going to trip intentionally next week so I can do comedy full time. What do you think?
That's a really great idea.
Perfect.
That's great. Too bad you said it live because you really could have done it, but you wouldn't do it.
I wouldn't do it because I have a compass.
And you and I, yeah, that's the thing with you and I. We have the best moral compass on the planet. What we used to not, so that's what makes it sexy. It wouldn't be sexy if we just shot out with a great moral compass.
Yeah, but do you ever find that like sometimes you're just watching your moral compass, but you're not actually utilizing it?
No, Renee, I actually use my moral compass. I think
sometimes
I think I'm pretty good, actually. Yeah.
I'm good most of the time, but I do have these like moments where like I will go through an exercise in my life, like where I'm about to do like this thing. Like I'm about to do a thing that's not good for me or anybody around me. This is a quick diatribe from the mask debate, but it could pertain to the mask debate.
Yeah.
Mask debate. But like I literally will say to myself, okay, Renee, you're gonna do this thing. And now I know better than to just do that thing, so I'll take advice. And I'll call you, Jackie, and be like, hey, should I do this thing? You'll be like, no. And then I'll call my sponsor and be like, hey, should I do this thing? And they're like, no. And I'll call my therapist and I'm like, should I do this thing? And they're like, no. And I talk to my sister and I talk to the runes and I do a meditation and I'm like, should I do this thing? No, no, no. And then finally at the end of all of that advice, I'm like, I'm gonna do that thing.
Yeah, wow.
It's like I now have a toolbox that I went through and I still did that thing.
Can I guess what that thing always is? Is it almost all the time women?
Is it women? Is the thing
usually women?
Yeah, it's usually relational.
Yeah. See, that's where I would have trouble too.
That's where all my self-discipline and boundaries go right out. Like as evolved as I think that I am, when I put myself in a room with another woman I'm attracted to, like forget it. Forget it.
Well, I'm pretty good. I've been really good about it. But the thing is, I haven't I haven't been tested. In the very beginning of my sobriety, I was tested and I failed a bunch. But I haven't really been tested since. So I am like on this like moral superior kick. Not superior because I have to stay right side, right?
Right.
So but like just being the best I've ever been in my life, morally. I've been the best that I've ever been. Not superior, but superior to all my past selves. So that's happening. And the same thing with the whole mask situation and self distancing and quarantining. I'm really good. I've been really, really good. But
definitely. But that don't you feel like, you know, the mask thing actually could be like a really interesting template about like self-control, because I feel like if we're able to insulate, right, and not go out in society and we can honor the quarantine rules and like it's much easier to say with the greatest conviction in our voice that like we're honoring all of these things and wearing our masks correctly. But then I have this challenge where like I've returned to my survival job like 8 hours a day. And I'm like, I wear a mask and a face shield for 8 hours a day. And at the end of the day, like I take that mask off like I take my bra off. Like it is the most amazing feeling in the entire world. All of a sudden I feel oxygenated. I feel fucking lightheaded, Jackie, at the end of the day because I've got to take my mask off. And I have moments where I'm not trying to be defiant, but like I will go in the back room of my store and just pull down my mask and take like 4 diaphragmatic breaths. And there's a part of me that's like, I'm wrong. I can't believe I just breathed in my store. And then I have moments where I'm like, I'm done. Like I have to breathe. I cannot wear this thing for 8 hours, but I'm being totally defiant because there's signs all over my store that's like, do not at any point, whether you're an employee or not, be unmasked inside the walls of this facility. And I break the rules.
I have to say, I don't work in a restaurant right now, but I have in the past. And that's why I refuse. Like all my friends are like, let's go eat in a restaurant. I'm like, no. And they're like, oh no, there's rules. Like they can't do anything. Like everybody's tested and everything. I'm like, I've worked in restaurants. Like the owners are not abiding by that. And the wait staff is, even the most moral people possible have to let things slide. Like there's no way you can be 100% sterile in this situation.
And the other thing that people don't think about is that we do have to breathe. Like there is, it's not always like a defiance. Like when you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off in the environment, and I'm wearing a shield and a mask, like I literally feel like I'm going to pass out sometimes because I'm not fully
I bet.
And I'm like just breathing in my own carbon dioxide for like 8 hours. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure like the trees are supposed to be getting this and not me. And like, so there is that point where I'm like, they also, I feel like during coronavirus, like if restaurants are going to open, like maybe staff isn't scheduled for full 8-hour shifts because no one can have a mask on their face for 8 hours.
That's what I was just going to say. Like, it should not be 8 hours. It should not be 8 hours. It's too much. Plus the amount of times you have to wash your hands. We already had to wash our hands a million times waiting on tables. Forget now. Like, it's impossible.
It's every table. Every time I ever take cash at my store, I have to wash my hands. Like there will be times where like 3 or 4 transactions in a row, I have to step off the floor and wash my hands. Like because we're also not allowed to wear gloves because we're food handlers. And what happens is that causes cross-contamination because people aren't taking the gloves off. So it's weirdly like Starbucks has decided that they don't want to use gloves, that just they want to implement the hand washing instead of the risk of cross-contamination.
Right. I get that. And that's what someone said to me too, like, oh, won't they be wearing gloves? I'm like, they're going to wash the gloves? Like, they're still touching things. Doesn't matter if it's not gloves or not. But then it's also, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't want to spend my life scared of things. Like, I want to trust that I'm going to be okay. But that's why I went out to eat on my birthday. Like I felt like I'm going to go out on my birthday, right? But other than that, like for me, it's not worth it to me. And it's just, I wouldn't know that if I hadn't worked in restaurants. But I think the most moral people, it's impossible to be 100% careful. And it's not worth you going to like get something for that. I'd rather just cook at home.
That's why I think I think that there's too much focus, this may be controversial to say, on the actual facial coverings versus the social distancing portion of this. I feel like that's where we've gotten a little bit more lax. Like we're opening up beaches and restaurants and like, because you can't always practice that. Like there was a rule for a while where only 10 people were allowed in my store. That was the full capacity so that people could be 6 feet apart. So that if you did need to pull down your mask to breathe, that the actual particles can't float more than 6 feet. So I honestly believe that higher precautionary measures is the 6 feet social distancing and not the wearing of the masks.
Yeah, I think
people are taking down their masks, they're breathing in their masks, they're reusing their masks more than they're supposed to use their masks. It's like wearing gloves in that way where like, I'm not saying that they're not important, but I just feel like we're putting a little bit too much attention on the mask and not enough attention on continuing to create that space. Like in Europe, they have beaches that are open that have like a capacity, and airlines, they're gotten rid of the middle seats, like stuff like that, where like you basically have to get to the beach before 9 a.m. in France right now because they're only going to allow like 150 people on the beach. And like they have squares. Like I saw this Google Maps picture, which literally squares of like where people can be. And when they park their cars, they're all like many feet apart from each other. And like I was at Manhattan Beach last week here in LA, and like people are on top of each other. This guy got out of his car and I had to like slide against his back to get past him. I'm like, we are not 6 feet apart.
Yeah, I think you have a great point there that being 6 feet apart is like the most important thing right now. Totally. Like, yeah, I did go out and I was wearing my mask and some guy went jogging without a mask on right next to me. And I'm just like, you idiot. Like, come on. Why would you do that? I don't understand. It's like, just be like, I just feel like anybody who doesn't wear a mask or doesn't do the 6 feet or the 6 feet also has herpes. Like they don't know how to take care of themselves or other people.
Totally.
I feel like they don't love themselves. I feel like
go ahead.
I feel like they're saying, I love myself so much, I'm not wearing this mask, but really they're telling everybody that they don't love themselves because they're not willing to protect themselves. And if I don't understand,
like That's the other thing. There's a part of me that, my life is really busy and I can't always do all of the research for every decision that I make. So sometimes I allow other people to be the template of like my moral decision. So when all of the world is saying wear a facial covering because millions of people have died of this. Sometimes I just wear a facial covering simply out of respect for the people who have died alone in a hospital.
Amen. Yes.
And that's my only reason why. I'm like, until they figure this out, like, I'm just going to do it because somebody else told me. Like, these people that come up with these debates as to why, I'm like, how hard is it to be like, you know what? I'm going to go order a latte, not being able to breathe as much as I want to be because 100,000 people died of this a few months ago. I don't know. How inconvenient is that for me to have to wait to sip my latte till I'm in my fucking car? Relax.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're going to be okay. So it's like, as annoyed as I feel sometimes, like having to wear the facial coverings, like I always circle back to that and realize like I didn't die alone in a hospital. But at this point, if people aren't careful, I could die alone in a hospital. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I always do my social distancing and wear the mask because I love myself. I want to do everything I can to make sure that I don't get it. Even if, like, say tomorrow they're like, oh, you don't, social distancing doesn't help. The mask doesn't help. It's all a fluke. I'll be like, I don't care that I know that I took care of myself and that I love myself. And the evidence is that I did all that stuff. So it's not like, and no part of me ever sees how that it could be a conspiracy. Like, it's ridiculous. It's the whole world.
It's the entire world, and there's like evidence that people have like died of it, and
people on both sides, like it's crazy, but yeah.
And I think people who believe in a conspiracy also do not have a higher power in their eyes because there is no mistake. Like there is a reason God was like, "You humans are fucking shit up," and just sent us all to our rooms for 6 months.
I really think the Earth is. I think the Earth is being like, "Oh yeah, you want to not treat me nice? Let's see what
happens. Like, let's see. Yeah. I was in Echo Park a couple of weeks ago once they reopened it. And I swear to God, the animals, like the ducks and the wildlife at Echo Park were totally giving us bitch faces. Like, they can't believe they let you guys out. Like, they looked pissed. They literally had those faces like, we have been so zen for like 6 months. I cannot believe they let you guys out. I can't. Ducks and the geese were like way more, like geese are always aggressive, but there were ducks that were like particularly like people take pictures and they're like, oh, they're so cute. And they totally had to like, fuck you, get away from me face, these ducks in Echo Park. And I was like, they're so pissed we're out. They're so mad at us. They thought they got the shit back.
They're gonna if we don't wear a mask and social distance.
It's so true.
The ducks will rule the planet.
The ducks are taking over.
Quack, quack. All right. So next
we have like a minute and a half left.
Oh, okay. So did somebody write in with a question?
Oh, let me look here.
About the masks? To wear, I know. Someone named Fran L from Long Island, New York. She wrote in that she wants to date, but should she wear a mask on her dates?
Ooh, okay. So I think we gotta give some good advice here and some bad advice. So if you're a mask hole, I like to call a mask hole.
Ooh, good.
Who doesn't wear a mask properly. Like if you wear your mask below your nose, you're a mask hole. So if you're a mask hole, you would just date whoever. I think you would just you would just do it and be like, I've been quarantined for 2 months. Or the other thing that you can do is like pretend that you've really been cautious for 6 months and give a really great sales pitch about how you've been honoring all of the quarantine when you are totally that dick that goes for a run around the reservoir without a mask on. So I would say lie just so that you can get some pussy. Second thing, if you do feel like you really, really need to like be in a relationship right now, do it with somebody that you're quarantined with, unless you live with your family.
Nobody wants to have sex with their brother. Unless you have a really hot sister. No. Okay, so yeah. I think dating, nothing applies. The masks don't apply with dating. Like people, we need to reproduce. Now, I feel that, yeah, if you like, now's a great time, especially for people to do dates via Zoom and get to know people instead of jumping into the sack. It's a great way to get to know people first. Instead, because we shouldn't be sharing energy with people we don't want to be. I heard that, and I think it's really true. If you wouldn't want to have the same energy as the person you're sleeping with, don't sleep with them. So I know you can't feel people's energy at Zoom, but you can get a good reading on them, and then you know what their social distancing is, and if they really care about you, they'll quarantine for 2 weeks so that you can get together.
Agreed.
Done. And you can make food at home.
Yes, I agree with that. It's a really great way because you're like safely exchanging energy.
Yeah.
I realize that like I am not spiritually sound if I'm giving away too much of like who I am. If I offer too much right up front, it's no bueno. Zoom will allow you to not offer too much up front.
Right. Yeah.
And it allows, like, if I'm having like a zit, like I can just change the lighting behind my camera so like people can't see.
And you have props.
Yeah, you have props. Like, it's beautiful.
I know what else you could do. You could just close the computer.
Yeah, you could just take your camera off if you're not having a good day.
I know. Like, come on, people. Zoom date.
Wait, just taking your camera off in a Zoom call, isn't that just a phone call? It's not what that used to be called.
No, but you just hang up. You could just hang up.
Oh, that's a good point.
Like, why would people ever want to like, I feel like it's the best excuse ever, unless they're just wanting to have sex. In that case, I mean.
I love that your dog is just eating. Was that our advice column that your dog just ate? Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Hold counter. Sorry, I just thought I'd delete it out. Well, this has been a very spirited conversation. I think do you know what they call sex during the coronavirus between two women? They call it coronalingus.
Oh,
what? So our advice today is don't be a mask hole.
Don't be a mask hole. Wear your mask, social distance. Just do it. You'll like yourself more. You'll like yourself more.
How to end the masked debate is that you should masturbate via Zoom if you want to date somebody.
Yes. Oh my God. Mutual masturbation is everything.
Everything, especially on Zoom.
It's everything. It's a good time. It's sexy as well. It's way sexier than real sex sometimes.
I think it's way sexier, definitely, especially because like you can watch it happen and like you can like move around to make sure that you look better. Like sometimes I probably have weird sex faces in like real sexual situations, but if I actually see myself in the act, like all of a sudden I channel the porn star in my head, you know? And then I look sexier on camera.
See, everybody, we solve major problems today.
We solve major problems.
And we made it sexy.
Yes, we did make it sexy. I hope you guys all enjoyed our mask debate. Say that 3 times fast, everybody.
Masturbate. Okay. We gotta go.
Thank you. We'll see you next week.
We love you guys. See you next week.
Love you.
We love you.